Now that I have my master pages set up, what I'm going to do is go in and set up my paragraph and character styles. And there seems to be a lot of confusion about this. So I'm going to show you what I do usually, and you guys can sort of either amend your ways or mend your ways, or totally ignore what I'm doing and do it yourself anyways. So it's really up to you, but this is the way I put things together. So I need to see what the text is going to look like before I get started. So in this case, I'm just going to sort of set up something that I think fits with the character of what I've already built. And you'll see here, I've gone in and just sort of used one of the existing text boxes. I've run some sample text through, okay? And what I've done is I've gone in and set up, so I've got sort of a chapter heading. I've got a headline or a chapter title for this. I've also got a subheading, and then I've got some regular running text. I've got another subheading, and I've got text under that. And down here, I have a quote. So what you have to do is establish all the different levels or all the different hierarchies of information that you're going to be presenting typographically. So usually what I do is, if I already know the text that I'm working with, say it's an author has sent me a manuscript or something, what I do is I look at everything and set it up and sort of in my mind think about, first of all, what's the most important thing? What's the next most important thing? Okay. And that doesn't necessarily always mean just using like the largest type for the most important thing and all that sort of stuff. You'll see here that I've used sort of a bold type from typeface, and when it's set all in black, 100% black, it starts to take over on the whole page. So I sort of knocked it back to 60% here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go in, and now that I've got everything set up the way I want to, it's really simple. I basically go into my paragraph styles, okay, and what I'm going to do is create a new style. So you can either click down here, or if you're old-fashioned, you can go in here and click New Paragraph Style. And you'll see what it has here is a lot of features that we can use within the paragraph style. So we can set all these things up within the paragraph style itself. Okay, we're going to look at a couple of these when we get to the more of the main body copy. Okay, so I'm just going to call this one chapter number. Okay. The other thing to remember is, and I may be guilty of this a little myself, that I would go through and just say, paragraph style 1 or untitled 1, untitled 2, untitled 3. And it gets really confusing. So the more paragraph styles that you use, the more you need to be specific about what you name them. And I will sometimes also have to put in here, chapter number at top of page if there's more than one chapter number being used. Okay. And if we want to go in and look, we can sort of double check that, I'm using News Gothic 12-point, 24-point leading, and the tracking is 75 thousandths of an M. Okay. I always track out uppercase letters. So I'm going to click OK. And this stupid Creative Cloud library thing comes up, so I'll just make that disappear. So you'll see now I have a character style here, a paragraph style here. Now, the other thing is, you'll notice that it's not being used. It's still a basic paragraph style. So if I go in and click chapter number, now that whole paragraph is in that paragraph style. So if I go in and click in here and click chapter number, it will change that automatically. Okay, I don't want to do that, but the other thing I want you to remember, and if I go in and go into my sort of working mode here, not preview mode, what a paragraph style does is basically changes something from paragraph to paragraph. So hard return to hard return. It changes everything in between that, okay? It doesn't matter about soft returns or tabs or anything like that. It's whatever is in between. So if I click into here and click chapter number, you'll see it changes everything after this and everything before this, okay? So just keep that in mind because it's an important delineation when we're going to be looking at the character styles. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just go in and create a new style for my heading. Whoa. And so I'm going to call this heading. Okay, and you'll see that I'm already using that. If I click in here, I can go and create a new paragraph style here, and I'm going to call it italic subheading. Okay, and here you'll notice that my first paragraph here is not indented. That's because if I indent it, A, it doesn't look right, and B, it's redundant because everybody can find the first paragraph on the page. So I usually create a separate style sheet or separate paragraph style for that. Okay, so text, no indent. Okay, and remember to make sure that you've clicked on this. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create another paragraph style and I'm going to call it indented text. Okay, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to call this a subhead. New paragraph style. I'm going to call it an in copy or in text subhead, which differentiates itself from the italic subheading. So maybe I'll just put a hyphen in there so I see the difference a little more. Okay, and then this is the non-indented text, and this is the indented text. Okay, and then here we have the quotes. So I'm going to call, so I'll call this, quoted text. Okay, and I've created an additional one in here and I'm just going to bin that. Okay, so you'll see now I have my quoted text, so I have 2, 4, 6, 7 different levels in here. And I can go through and if I want to, I can, highlight everything. That's what I usually do. And then make it indented text and then change it as I go along. Okay. Now, let's say I have some other things within the text that I want to add to it. So let's say my author has gone in and added some italics that they want to highlight something with. So let's say this is going to be italics. So I'll hit Command-Shift-I. And let's say we have another one down here. Okay, Command-Shift-I. And down here, let's say we have some small caps that we're going to use. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-H, and it will give me a true small cap. And I'm going to also go in here and add some tracking. So I'm going to track it out a little bit to 50 thousandths of an M. Okay. Now you'll notice when I click in this paragraph or this paragraph, I didn't change this. Let me change this to indented text, and you'll see there's a little plus sign there. And also when I go into this paragraph, you'll see that there's a plus sign there as well, okay, when I highlight the whole thing. Okay, and what this means is that these things that I've added, the italics and the small caps, have violated the paragraph style. So they are not within the framework of what we put together for that paragraph style. We didn't make this paragraph style to include, to be italic text. So what we have to do then is create a character style. So basically, a character style is anything that changes within those hard returns. So within that paragraph, if any text changes, and it doesn't matter if it's color, if it's italics, if it's a different typeface, if it's a different size, it has to be accounted for. Okay? So if I go into my character styles, you'll see I don't have any. And I can do the same thing. I can just click create a new style. And usually what I do in here is I just sort of call them something fairly simple. So I'll just call this ital or italic. So now when I highlight this, I've already gone in and created a style for it. And when I do this, I can go in and create a style for it. And now when I go to create this or highlight this, if I create a new style for it, I can go in and say small caps, if I could type properly. Okay. Now the interesting thing is, if I highlight this, you remember before there was a plus sign beside the paragraph style. Now if I highlight this whole thing, you'll see that there's no plus sign. And the plus sign indicates that there's something outside of that paragraph style that we're using. Okay, so what we've done is we've highlighted this, we've made it a character style. In this case, it's italic. So the software knows exactly what we're doing. And this is helpful to us as designers in that if we have, set up these paragraph styles and character styles, if we're creating an EPUB version of it, it will actually translate those to the hierarchy within the HTML that we're writing, or that the web pages understand. So it's basically we're programming it to know what to do with this information. Now the other thing is sometimes there's some weirds in there that end up as a hangover from the text that we've imported into our document. So let's say we have some italic text in here. And it's not supposed to be italic text, but it's sort of left over. So if I go back to my paragraph style and highlight it, you'll see that there's a plus sign there. So it's text, no indent, but it has it's telling me that there's something wrong in there. So what we can do is, what this is called is an override. So I've overridden the existing paragraph style. So what I can do is go in and clear the overrides. And you'll see it goes back to being just whatever is made up in our paragraph style. Okay. Now the other thing we can do is if we look at something and say, you know what, I want to change this. So let's go in and look at this. I'm going to take this back in color a little bit. So I'm going to make this 50%. Okay. Now, if I pull up my paragraph style, you'll see that the heading has changed. So I got a little plus sign there. But I know I want it to change to the 50%. So what I can do is, you'll see that I can put my cursor in here at any point and I'm still getting that plus sign. So what I want to do is I want to redefine the style. So I want to just make it the 50% all the way through. And I can click redefine the style. You'll see the plus sign goes away and this is 50%. And also within our document, anything that is given this paragraph style is changed automatically. Okay. Now, the other thing I want you to look at is within the text itself, you'll see if I go in here and let's say I type a number, there's a number within the text. Now, you'll see that these are what are known as non-ranging figures. So they're capital figures, or if we look at our character styles here, we'll go to Open Type, and you'll see it's the default figure style, and these are known as lining figures, either tabular lining or proportional lining. So they line up with the capital letters. But what we want is, we want it to be, if we go into our Open Type settings, I want it to be proportional old style. So it looks like that. So it fits in with the rest of the text. Now, the thing of it is our paragraph style doesn't have that in it. Okay? So you can see there's something going on here. You'll see if we go in and double click on this, we can go in and look at our Open Type features. And you'll see that right now we have a default figure style. So instead, I'm going to say I want them all to be proportional old style. And I'm going to click OK. And now what I've done is I've fixed this. So anytime I type a number, it will be that ranging figures that I use. So you can build that into your style. The other thing that I think you guys probably already know, but you can also build into here paragraph rules. So if I want a rule below this line or this heading, I can go in and set it any way I want to, and that will be included within the paragraph style. The other thing that you can do, and this is one of my favorite tricks to do, I can also go in and move this around a little bit. Let's make it a negative space here, negative 0.6. And if I offset it a negative amount, and instead of making it a text color, I'm going to make it black, and I'm going to make it 50% black. If I click OK, what will happen is this will be a heading within a line or a box, and I can make that part of my paragraph style. So if I go, and you'll see there's a little plus sign here. If I go in and redefine the style, every time I use that now, so if I go in here and I'll just create a line on its own, and I go in to use my, in-text subhead, and it will automatically do that for me. Okay, so you can build a lot of powerful things into your paragraph styles. And what I like to do is I'll sort of set up a few pages that are using all of these different styles, and make sure they look okay. Print them out. Look at them in a different format. Okay, and make sure everything is working for you. Give them to somebody and see if they can read them. And from there, what you can do is then go in and either do some changes on them or say, you know what, everything's working well. I can go through my whole document now and format it quickly and easily.